Hey church family, Pastor Brent here. Welcome to another Harvest in Your Home, bringing the truth of God's Word to encourage your soul as you shelter at home. Recently, I've been greatly encouraged by the history of Christian missionaries who have faced diseases and viruses and epidemics, all for the sake of preaching the gospel of Jesus Christ. I know for us in our generation, this might seem like something new. Maybe the scale of it seems new. But the reality is that Christians have boldly faced situations just like this. And they've done it without fear, and they've done it with the purpose of joyfully proclaiming Jesus in a generation. One of the best examples of this fearlessness is a man by the name of Alexander Mackay. He was a Scotsman. He was an engineer, he was a pastor and a missionary who was sent by the Anglican Church and the missionary arm of the Anglican Church called the Church Missionary Society to go and to preach the gospel in East Africa. Now, East Africa was known as a place where missionaries faced diseases and viruses that they were susceptible to that the indigenous population was not. And so it was known as the graveyard for missionaries coming from Europe. And so Alexander Mackay and his team of 8 went there very well knowing that this was going to be a risk. But it was a risk worthy of preaching the gospel of Jesus Christ. And so Alexander Mackay was the leader of the team of 8, and he addressed the committee that had sent him out on his farewell address. And he said this, and I think it's notable for us today. While addressing the churches in the committee that was sending them out, he said, quote, "I want to remind the committee that within 6 months they will probably hear that some of us are dead. Yes, is it at all likely that 8 Englishmen should start for Central Africa and all be alive 6 months after? One of us, at least, it may be I, will surely fall before that. When the news comes, do not be cast down, but send someone else immediately to take the vacant place." Now, Alexander Mackay was absolutely correct. One of them died within 6 months, and within the first year, 5 of the team of 8 had passed away. By year 2, Alexander Mackay was the only one left standing. And this they went into knowingly. Why? Because Christ needs to be made known, and he's worthy of being preached, even in the face of such danger. Now, the situations are a little bit different. The indigenous populations weren't in danger. It was the Christians who were the ones who were vulnerable. And it wasn't Christians who were spreading the disease. Situation's a little bit different, but the situation in some ways is still the same. Christians can boldly face epidemics and pandemics and with courage, joyfully, and with purpose, and knowing that our life and even our death is being given for a greater purpose of making Jesus known. Alexander Mackay and the effects and the fruit of his ministry is best seen in one of the men who came to Christ through his ministry, an African by the name of Apollo Kiev Bulaya, who was used by God to establish great churches all throughout the Uganda region of Africa. Churches that are described by one historian as being untouched by the pursuit of power, wealth, or any physical satisfaction whatsoever. Churches that were faithful to this for the sake of Christ and to the gospel of Jesus Christ, even to this day. I think it's a great reminder for us as Christians, and we can do what the author of Hebrews says. Since we are surrounded by so great a cloud of witnesses, men like Alexander Mackay, let us also lay aside every weight and sin which clings so closely, and let us run with endurance the race that is set before us, looking to Jesus, the founder and perfecter of our faith, who for the joy that was set before him endured the cross, despising the shame, and is seated at the right hand of the throne of God. Brothers and sisters, you are loved, lived with such purpose, and look forward to the glory of the Lord and his return. You are loved.